I love stories. I love reading them, and I love listening to them. Stories are very powerful things. They can excite us, grip us, move us, shape us, and change us in a way very few other things can. But sadly, stories can also contribute to division and discord. At the heart of so many of the world's conflicts lie very different stories of what is actually going on. So both sides find it very hard to meet, and that's very sad. It's easy to be critical of other people's stories, but our own stories also pit us against other people as we perhaps harbour long-standing prejudices against others for past hurts, real or imagined. And those stories may not actually be true stories at all, but distorting mirrors which prevent us seeing ourselves as we truly are and could cut us off from others as well. But there is a solution. We each of us need to understand our own stories in the light of the one true story of what God has done for us in Jesus Christ, which we read at the beginning of chapter 2 of St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians. This story is our story. It's this story that makes us who we are as the people of God. And it's this story that opens up all kinds of possibilities for us beyond the constraints and distortions of our own personal stories. This is the story that we call the good news. But we need to understand that the good news is only good news if first we recognize that it's rather bad news. The good news, this story, is not a distorting mirror, but one that shows us who we really are. And it's not a pretty sight. Ephesians 2 tells us you were dead through the trespasses and sins in which you once lived. The idea of trespass is of crossing a boundary. Sin, on the other hand, is about falling short of a standard. The first is about rebellion, the second about failure, and that's the truth of the matter. We are both rebels and failures. And the result of this rebellion and failure is quite clear: death. To be trapped in sin is not just a question of not being able to live life to the full. It's not just a question of failing to realize our full potential. It's about being dead, spiritually, morally, and eternally. So that's the bad news. By nature, we are dead, enslaved, and condemned. It is not a happy story. It does not look a pretty sight in the mirror, and there's nothing we can do about it. We're out of our depth. As Elvis used to sing, we're caught in a trap, there's no way out. Except, of course, that there is. There is, because that sorry story of sin and failure is followed straight away by two words that change absolutely everything. But God. And that makes all the difference. By nature, we're caught in a trap with no way out, but God. Suddenly, bad news turns into good because God has stepped onto the scene. Our story changes completely. Our mirror image is transformed. We've been saved, we're told. We've been rescued from death, from slavery, from condemnation. We've been truly set free. And all this has happened simply because of Jesus. 3 times in Ephesians 2, we're told that. And if those two words, but God, make all the difference, well, so do the words, because of Jesus. But God, because of Jesus, transforms our lives utterly and completely. And those words, but God, because of Jesus, are the good news of God in a nutshell. And why does God do this? The passage is just full of the language of love, words like kindness, mercy, and 3 times grace, as well as the word love itself. Think for a moment of everything we saw in our story earlier. We were dead, rebels, failures, condemned by the wrath of God, and yet He loves us. And yet He loves us. Isn't that awesome? We were all that, and yet He loved us and loves us still. So do you know that you're loved? Do you really know it? Have you maybe forgotten it? But you are deeply, unchangeably, unshakably loved. You can't in fact be any more loved by Him than He loves you now, because His love is total and eternal. So what does this mean for us? We need to tell the right story about ourselves. We've been set free, liberated by grace, loved unconditionally. We cannot be unloved, and we cannot be loved more. But we can go further. And in closing, let's come back to where we began, with all those conflicting stories that we hear told in the world today. Our God has gone way beyond himself in reconciling us to himself. So we must go way beyond ourselves in being agents of reconciliation, telling the good news of God, reaching out in love towards others, because that is just what our God has done for us in Jesus Christ. So let's rejoice in this astonishing story. Let's tell it with conviction and compassion. And in our sadly divided world, let's let it send us beyond our comfort zones as agents of grace, of reconciliation, and of love. Amen.